Hi everyone, welcome back to the Blazor Rich Text Editor tutorial, where I will show you how to enable smart suggestions in the component. This example demonstrates how to easily format text, insert media, and create tables in the Rich Text Editor using the mention component. To use it, simply type the / in the editor, and select the desired format from the suggestion list. First, let's open an existing Blazor WebAssembly app, where I've added the Syncfusion Blazor Rich Text Editor component. If you want to learn how to get started with the Blazor Rich Text Editor component, check out the video linked in the YouTube card above. You can also find this example by following the link provided in the description below. Now, let's run the example application. See the Rich Text Editor rendered with toolbar items. Next, I will show you how to integrate the mention component into the Rich Text Editor. I have already added the Syncfusion mention component with the t-item property bound to the format data class. Additionally, I've configured the data source property for mention component to utilize the email data list. I have assigned the ID property is used to set a unique ID for the component, and used to integrate the mention and RTE. If you want more information about how to integrate the mention component into the RTE, check the video linked in the description below. Next, I declare a character variable named formatCharacter and initialize it with a /. This variable is then assigned to the mentionChar property within the mention component, specifying the character that triggers mentions when typed. To improve the user experience, I changed the placeholder property value to display a hint about what to type in the editor. Additionally, I defined the RTE toolbar settings and disabled the toolbar by setting the enable property to false, ensuring it won't interfere with the mention functionality. As you can see, the RTE renders without toolbar items, and the mention component appears when I type the special character /. The suggestions are displayed through the mention component. Next, I'll show you how to add icons and descriptions to the suggestion list items. To achieve this, I define an item template to create a custom template for each mention item in the suggestion list. Inside the template, I use a table element to structure the layout of each item. Within the table, I'll create two columns. In the first column, I create a span element with a class based on the icon property of the format data item. This class is used to display an icon associated with the mention item. In the second column, I'll include two span elements. I add the span element with the class name to display the format name property for the format item, which shows the name of the format option. The second span with the class description displays the description property of the format item. This is used to display a description of the format. Additionally, I apply styling elements to define styles for icons, fonts, and descriptions within the custom template I've created. Look now, when I type a /, you'll notice that the descriptions and icons are included in the suggestion list. Next, I'll demonstrate how to include these suggestions in the editor when clicked. First, I declare an instance for Rich Text Editor component named RTE object, and bind it to the ref attribute within the RTE component. Using this reference, I can access built-in methods like showDialogAsync, executeCommandAsync, and so on. Then, I set the opening event in mention component. This event triggers to perform custom actions just before displaying the mentioned suggestions. It helps keep track of what's in the editor or make changes using the selected content. To do this, I create a public async method named onOpeningHandler. It takes an argument of type mention opening event args. Inside the method, I check that the RTE object is not null. I call the built-in saveSelectionAsync method using the Rich Text Editor object. I bind the onOpeningHandler method to the opening event. Next, I set the filtering event. This event defines an event handler that will be executed when the mentioned data is being filtered or processed. To achieve this, I create the public async method named onFilteringHandler. It takes an argument of the type mentioned filtering event args. I call the built-in save selection async method using the rich text editor object. I bind the onFiltering handler method to the filtering event. Look now, when I type the special character /, you can see the suggestion list. When I enter some characters near the /, then it shows relevant suggestions in the RTE. Next, I set the value selecting event, which specifies a callback method to be executed when a value is selected or when some action related to value selection occurs. To implement this, I create a private async method called onValueSelectingHandler. It accepts mentioned value selecting event args with generic type format data as arguments. Inside this method, I check that the rich text editor is not null and cancel the default action of value selecting by setting args cancel to true. This prevents the default behavior that would occur when selecting a value. Then, I call the built-in focus async method using RTE object to ensure that the rich text editor has focus, making it ready for user input. I also call the built-in restore selection async method using RTE object, which restores the selection within the rich text editor, maintaining the user's current selection state. Based on the command using item data, which corresponds to the selected items command, I perform specific actions. For example, if the command is ordered list, it inserts an ordered list, if it's image, it opens a dialog to insert an image, and so on. If the command doesn't match any of the predefined cases, it executes a generic formatting command. Finally, I bind the onValueSelectingHandler method to the value selecting event. See here, when I type the /, you can see the list of functionalities. First, I click the quotation. Notice that the quotation format is showing in RTE. Then I click the heading 1 option and you'll see the content is a top-level heading when I type. Also, I click the number list option and you'll see the number when I type some content. Finally, I click the image option and set the image URL, and you'll see the image. In this video, I showed you how to enable smart suggestions in the Blazor Rich Text Editor component. Also, I covered a step-by-step guide on implementing this feature and enhancing it with icons, descriptions, and applying suggestion list values to the Rich Text Editor content. For more information on Rich Text Editor's features, check out the documentation link provided in the video's description. If you want to see the working code of this example, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I've also provided a link where you can see if you qualify for a free community license to use all our Blazor products. If you found this video useful, click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.